Listen carefully. Your entire life can change with a single habit, the 3-second pause. The pause that stops you from reacting. The pause that stops you from sabotaging. The pause that turns emotion into strategy, weakness into composure, and chaos into control. For years, people have lost battles because they spoke too fast, acted too fast, and reacted too fast. But not you. Not anymore. This audiobook will train you to master the pause that wins, the pause that makes you unprovocable, unshakable, and unquestionably powerful. You've spent your whole life reacting too fast. You know it. You feel it. You replay those moments in your head, the arguments you lost, the opportunities you ruined, the words you wish you could take back. And every time, the pattern is the same. You reacted before you thought. You moved before you understood. You spoke before you were ready. You reacted fast, and fast reactions destroy clarity. That's where we begin. Because if you want to become unprovocable, if you want to become strategic, if you want to become powerful, you must learn one truth. Slow is strong. Slow is intentional. Slow is power. Let that hit you. Let that settle. Most people don't react fast because they're brave. They react fast because they're afraid. Fear makes you rush. Ego makes you hurry. Survival mode thinking makes you leap into the fire without checking where the flames are. You have a choice, and that's the key. You can keep letting fear run your timing, or you can learn to pause long enough to see the entire battlefield before you push forward. Every fast reaction you've ever had came from one of 3 places: fear, ego, or habit. Let's break that down. 1. Fear makes you answer too quickly. When you fear losing someone, you text back too soon. When you fear being wrong, you defend yourself too aggressively. When you fear being judged, you explain yourself before anyone even asks. Fear hijacks your timing. Fear pushes you into emotional debt. Fear makes you act like the world is ending every time something triggers you. But listen closely. You have a choice. Fear doesn't get the final say. Fear doesn't command your voice. Fear doesn't decide your timing. Slow is strong. 2. Ego makes you respond instantly. Your ego hates silence. Your ego hates being questioned. Your ego hates waiting because waiting creates uncertainty and ego feeds on the illusion of control. So when someone challenges you, you fire back. When someone misunderstands you, you over-explain. When someone underestimates you, you try to prove yourself immediately. But every time you react to defend your ego, you lose ground. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You don't need to win every small moment. Slow is intentional. 3. Habit keeps you reacting fast even when you don't want to. You've trained your body to move before your mind catches up. You've trained your mouth to speak before your reasoning arrives. You've trained your thumbs to reply before you even feel the consequences. Impulse became your identity. But identity can be rebuilt. You have a choice, and that's the key. Now listen carefully. Fast reactions feel powerful in the moment, but they cost you power in the long run. That's the trap. You think you're being bold. You think you're taking control. You think you're acting with confidence. But what you're really doing is giving the world access to your emotional wiring.
Anyone can poke you. Anyone can provoke you. Anyone can pull a reaction out of you like pulling a string on a toy. A fast reactor is easy to manipulate. A fast reactor is predictable. A fast reactor is controllable. But you're here to evolve beyond that. You're here to learn the discipline of slowness, because slow is power. Let me show you what real strength looks like. Think about the people who intimidate you. Think about the people who command respect the moment they walk into a room. Think about the leaders, mentors, strategists, and winners you admire. Do they speak fast when pressured? Do they overreact when challenged? Do they rush to defend themselves at every misunderstanding? No, they take their time, they process, they watch, they wait. Because they know something you're just now learning. Speed destroys clarity. Slowness builds authority. This is not about being passive. This is not about being quiet. This is not about running from confrontation. No, this is about choosing your moment, choosing your tone, choosing your direction. You have a choice. Here's the mistake most people make. They assume reacting fast equals confidence. But reacting fast is not confidence. Reacting fast is panic disguised as certainty. The person who pauses, that's the person in control. That's the person who isn't ruled by emotion. That's the person who doesn't need the world's permission to take a breath before deciding. Slow is intentional. Let me give you a real example. You're in an argument. Someone says something that hits your insecurity. Your chest tightens. Your jaw locks. Your mind starts sprinting before your mouth even opens. In that moment, your instinct is to fire back, to win fast, to hit harder. But here's what actually happens. You lose the frame. You lose the emotional upper hand. You communicate from a defensive, reactive position. The moment you react fast, you hand them your power. But imagine a different response. Imagine you pause. 3 seconds. Deep breath. No movement. No words. Just awareness. Suddenly, they're the ones who feel uncertain. Suddenly, they're the ones who feel exposed. Suddenly, they're the ones who overextend. The power shifts. Because slowness forces the world to reveal itself before you reveal your move. That's not weakness. That's strategy. That's discipline. You have a choice. Here's what you must train starting today. The slow response method. Pause for 3 seconds before every reply. No exceptions. Train it like a reflex. Observe what emotion is trying to control you. Is it fear, ego, or habit? Name it. Naming breaks the spell. Respond only after your clarity returns. Not when you're triggered, not when you're shaky, when you're ready. This is the discipline that rebuilds your identity. This is the behavior that creates composure. This is the practice that elevates you from reactive to strategic. Slow is strong. Slow is intentional. Slow is power. And I'm going to repeat that throughout this book because repetition is how you rewire your life. But I want to end this chapter with one truth that will guide everything else. Fast reactions come from survival mode. Slow responses come from power mode. Every time you slow down, you choose authority over anxiety. Every time you slow down, you choose clarity over chaos. Every time you slow down, you choose your future self over your current impulses. You have a choice, and now you know the key. You just took the first step. You mastered the foundation. Now let's expand your power even further.
You have been taught your whole life to trust your emotions, to follow your heart, to speak your truth, to go with what you feel. And that advice has destroyed more decisions, more relationships, and more futures than anything else. Because here's the truth you were never told. Your emotions are not commands. They are signals. They are information. They are warnings, but they are not orders. You have a choice, and that's the key. You don't obey every emotion you feel. You don't act on every surge that hits your chest. You don't need their permission. Not your anger, not your fear, not your insecurity. Feel it. Don't follow it. Say it again. Feel it. Don't follow it. That's the discipline. Most people live like slaves to their emotions. Anger tells them to talk, so they talk. Pride tells them to argue, so they argue. Insecurity tells them to defend, so they defend. Their emotions snap their fingers, and they jump like trained puppies. But you're not here to remain emotional. You're here to become disciplined. Because it's not about being emotional. It's about being intentional. It's not about avoiding feelings. It's about mastering your responses. You have a choice, and that's the key. Let's break down the emotional traps that sabotage you. 1. Anger makes you react before you think. Anger is loud. Anger is impulsive. Anger feels righteous. But anger is terrible at long-term strategy. Anger wants to win now, not later. Anger wants to prove now, not progress later. Anger wants to hit back now, even if it hurts your future. Anger is a sprinter. Your life is a marathon. When anger takes control, you say things you regret. You break things you later apologize for. You make decisions that cost you money, relationships, and respect. Anger screams, react now. But discipline whispers, pause. You have a choice. Feel it, don't follow it. 2. Pride makes you defend what doesn't matter. Pride is the emotion that ruins smart people. Pride tells you that you can't walk away. Pride tells you that you must respond. Pride tells you that silence means weakness. But the truth is simple. People with real power don't need to prove anything. You don't need their permission. You don't need their validation. You don't need to be understood in every moment. Pride says, explain yourself. But discipline says, you don't owe anyone instant clarity. Pride says, win the argument. But discipline says, win your peace. Feel it, don't follow it. That's the key. 3. Insecurity makes you overact. Insecurity is subtle. It creeps in quietly. It whispers lies. You fear losing someone, so you text too quickly. You fear looking weak, so you argue too aggressively. You fear being wrong, so you apologize too much or not enough. Insecurity makes you act from fear instead of truth. And anytime fear controls your timing, you lose power. You have a choice. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You don't need to earn what you already deserve. Feel it, don't follow it. Emotions are signals, not orders. Think of emotions like notifications on your phone. They tell you something is happening. They alert you to an internal situation. They give you data. But they don't decide your action. You do. Pain says something needs healing. Fear says something needs preparation. Anger says something feels violated. Jealousy says something feels threatened. Sadness says something needs attention. But none of them say, act now, speak now, react now. That's your choice. And that's the key. The pause, the 3-second window, allows you to decode the emotion instead of obeying it. You ask, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Where is this coming from? What action will actually help me long term? That's how leaders operate. That's how mature people operate. That's how you begin operating from this chapter forward. Because remember, feeling is human. Following everything you feel is self-destruction. Real-world application. The pause that protects you. Here is what the average person does when triggered. They feel the emotion. They obey the emotion. They regret the emotion. But here's what you will do from now on. Step 1. Feel it fully. No denial, no pretending. You don't numb it. You don't hide it. You acknowledge it. I'm angry. I'm insecure. I'm threatened. I'm hurt. Feel it. Step 2. Pause before you act. 3 seconds. That's your shield. That's your clarity. That's your power. 3 seconds breaks emotional momentum. 3 seconds interrupts compulsive behavior. 3 seconds separates instinct from intention. Step 3. Choose your response. This is the transformation. You choose with awareness, not emotion. You choose with discipline, not impulse. You choose with clarity, not chaos. You have a choice, and that's the key. Feel it, don't follow it. Why this matters for the rest of your life? When you treat your emotions as commands, you're not living, you're reacting. You're letting every situation dictate who you are. You're giving strangers, triggers, and childhood patterns control over your present identity. But when you treat emotions as signals, you take back power. You become deliberate. You become steady. You become composed. People start respecting you more. People start trusting you more. People stop trying to provoke you because it no longer works. You stop losing battles you should have won. You stop speaking words you regret for years. You stop letting fear and insecurity shape your path. Because this chapter gives you a new truth. Your emotions are real, but they are not rulers. They inform you. They do not control you. They speak, but you choose whether to act. You have a choice, and now you know the key. The final lesson of this chapter. When you feel a surge, stop. When you feel anger, pause. When you feel fear, observe. When you feel pride, step back. When you feel insecurity, breathe. Feel it. Don't follow it. Because the moment you stop obeying your emotions, you stop being reactive. You stop being predictable. You stop being manipulable. You become strategic. You become grounded. You become powerful. You become someone who moves with discipline instead of emotion. And that brings us to the next level of your transformation.
Most people fear silence. They rush to fill it. They talk to escape it. They explain and justify and overshare because silence makes them uncomfortable. But here's the truth. Silence is not weakness. Silence is dominance. Silence is not empty. Silence is influence. The loudest people in the room rarely have the power. The quiet ones, the ones who pause, who listen, who observe, they shape the direction of everything around them. Silence is not an accident. Silence is a skill. Silence is a conscious weapon. You have a choice. And that's the key. You can keep reacting the way average people react. Jumping to respond, scrambling to explain, speaking because you feel pressured. Or you can learn the discipline that separates leaders from the crowd. Because it's not about being talkative, it's about being intentional. It's not about being silent by fear, it's about being silent by choice. You don't need their permission to take your time. You don't need their approval to stay still. You don't need their validation to pause before you speak. Silence is influence. Let's break down why silence is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. 1. Silence gives you control in conversations. Every conversation has a frame, a direction, an emotional tone. Most people let the other person define it. They let the loudest voice win. They let the fastest reactor dominate. But the person who controls the silence controls the frame. Think about it. When you pause after someone speaks, they feel the pressure, not you. When you hold silence after a question, they reveal more than they intended, not you. When you respond slowly, you dictate the emotional pace, not them. Silence creates discomfort for them, not for you. Silence forces them to reveal their intentions. Silence gives you time to process, analyze, and decide. You have a choice. That's the key. Silence isn't retreat. Silence is strategy. Silence is influence. Number 2, silence strengthens your authority. You've seen this in real life. Strong leaders don't rush to respond. Great negotiators pause before committing. Powerful communicators let their words breathe. Think of a CEO in a boardroom. Everyone is debating. Everyone is talking fast. Everyone is trying to sound smart. But the leader, he waits. He listens. He speaks only after everyone else is done. The entire room leans in. Why? Because silence builds anticipation. Because silence signals confidence. Because silence tells everyone, I'm not reacting, I'm deciding. That is authority. That is discipline. That is influence. Silence is not empty. Silence is influence. You don't need their permission to sit quietly. You don't need to prove your intelligence by talking nonstop. You don't need to match the noise of insecure people. Insecurity talks. Authority waits. It's not about being shy. It's about being strategic. Number 3, silence exposes other people's agendas. Here's something most people never realize. When you stay silent, other people keep talking. And when they keep talking, they reveal everything. Their fears, their insecurities, their true intentions, their weaknesses, their pressure points. In negotiations, silence makes the other side offer more than they planned. In arguments, silence makes the other person overreach and expose their emotional weakness. In interviews, silence makes the interviewer keep explaining, and suddenly you learn more than any question could have revealed. Silence is not passive. Silence is investigative. Silence is not avoidance. Silence is intel gathering. You have a choice. And that's the key. Most people speak because they crave control, but silence gives you control. Silence is influence. Number 4, silence protects you from emotional mistakes. You learned in the last chapter that emotions are not commands. Now silence becomes the tool that lets you follow that rule. Silence interrupts your fear. Silence cools your anger. Silence dissolves your insecurity. When you pause, even for a moment, you break the chain of emotional reaction. You create space between what you feel and what you do. You create the gap where discipline lives. You don't speak while the emotion is still loud. You speak when your clarity takes the lead. It's not about reacting fast. It's about responding right. Feel it, don't follow it. And use silence to protect your decisions. You have a choice. Silence makes that choice possible. Number 5, how to build the discipline of intentional silence. Most people are terrible at silence because silence requires ego control. Here's how you begin mastering it. Step 1, add a silent pause to every reply. Even if it's 1 second, even if it feels awkward, even if the other person looks confused. This pause is your power. This pause builds your authority. This pause trains you to think before you speak. Step 2, use silence to force clarity. If someone asks you a question, pause. If someone challenges you, pause. If someone pressures you, pause. They will fill the silence with more information, more emotion, more honesty. Silence is influence. Step 3, let silence replace over-explaining. You don't need to justify yourself. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need their permission. State your truth once. Then let silence carry your confidence. Because it's not about proving yourself, it's about knowing yourself. Real-world examples. Negotiations. A buyer makes an offer. You stay quiet. They panic and raise it. Silence earns you more. Arguments. Someone tries to provoke you. You pause. They get louder, sloppier, more emotional. Silence exposes them. Interviews. They ask you a challenging question. You take your time. They read this as confidence. Silence elevates you. This is not magic. This is discipline. This is control. This is influence. Silence is not empty. Silence is influence. The final lesson of this chapter. Your silence is a message. Your silence is a boundary. Your silence is a power move. Every time you choose silence, you choose strength. Every time you choose silence, you choose clarity. Every time you choose silence, you choose influence. You have a choice. And now you know the key. You're not avoiding. You're not retreating. You are leading with composure. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not fear. Silence is skill. Silence is strategy. Silence is power. You mastered your silence. Now let's master your reactions to people.
You're about to learn the single habit that rewires your entire emotional operating system. A habit so small you can execute it anywhere, anytime, with anyone. A habit that creates authority, calm, insight, and control all in one move. It's the 3-second rule. 3 seconds before you speak. 3 seconds before you react. 3 seconds before you hit send, snap back, defend yourself, or justify anything. You think it's too small, but that's where you're wrong. Tiny things change big lives. Micro-discipline shapes macro outcomes. And you have a choice. Right now, you can stay the same, fast, impulsive, emotional. Or you can become someone new, slow, deliberate, unprovocable. That's the key. Because 3 seconds doesn't sound like much, but in those 3 seconds, everything inside you reorganizes. Your brain shifts from reaction to reasoning. Your emotions shift from eruption to understanding. Your identity shifts from victim to leader. 3 seconds saves you from 30 regrets. Say it again with me. 3 seconds saves you from 30 regrets. You'll hear this line again and again because repetition rewires you. Repetition is how we train discipline. Repetition is how we build new instincts. The habit that interrupts your worst self. Let's get brutally honest. Most of your pain comes from moments you reacted too fast. You argued too fast. You defended yourself too fast. You explained too fast. You let anger talk for you. You let fear drive the conversation. You let ego take the wheel. And every time you reacted fast, you lost something. Respect, opportunities, relationships, momentum, self-trust. Fast reactions come from emotional chaos. Slow responses come from disciplined clarity. You have a choice. That's the key. The 3-second rule isn't about silence. It's about reclaiming your mind before your emotions hijack your mouth. This rule is your circuit breaker, your internal firewall, your built-in protector. 3 seconds gives you space. Space to see the situation. Space to see yourself. Space to see the consequence. You don't need their permission to pause. You don't need their approval to slow down. You don't need validation to take a breath. It's not about speed, it's about discipline. How to actually use the rule. Real training reps. This chapter isn't theory. This chapter is training. And training means you build the muscle now, not later, not someday. Training rep number 1. Count mentally. Someone says something provoking, a comment, a challenge, a disrespect, a misunderstanding. Your mind wants to fire back instantly. Your ego wants to win instantly. Your anger wants to defend instantly. You interrupt the instinct and count. 1, 2, 3. 3 seconds. That's it. You'll feel the shift. Your emotional wave drops, your clarity rises, your tone stabilizes. That's the key. Training rep number 2, the breath reset. If counting feels too mechanical, do this. Inhale for 1 second, hold for 1 second, exhale for 1 second. That's your pause. That's your reset. That's your power. Breathing pulls you out of survival mode because reacting fast is survival. Responding slow is strategy. It's not about anxiety, it's about discipline. Training rep number 3, the micro delay in action. Before you send the message, walk into a room, answer a question,
React to bad news. Respond to criticism. Pause. 3 seconds. This is how leaders operate. This is how professionals operate. This is how emotionally bulletproof people operate. 3 seconds gives you distance. 3 seconds gives you leverage. 3 seconds gives you control. 3 seconds saves you from 30 regrets. Say it until your brain believes it. Why 3 seconds works? The psychology. Let's break it down. In the first second, your emotion fires. In the second second, your awareness wakes up. In the third second, your logic takes over. That's the key. You're training your brain to stop handing power to the loudest emotion in the room. Because your emotions are loud, your ego is loud, your fear is loud, your insecurity is loud. But they are not commands. They are signals. And you have a choice. You can follow the signal and destroy the moment, or you can decode the signal and win the moment. 3 seconds is the bridge between emotional impulse and disciplined identity. It's the space where you shift from the person you've been to the person you're becoming. The real reason people fear the pause. People avoid silence because silence exposes them. They're afraid to look unsure, afraid to look weak, afraid to look slow, afraid of the other person's reaction. But listen closely. You don't need their permission to pause. You don't need their approval to slow down. You don't need validation to take a breath. It's not about speed, it's about discipline. Pausing isn't hesitation. Pausing is calculation. Pausing is strength. When you pause, people assume you know something they don't. They lean in. They wait. They respect the delay. Why? Because silence signals power. Speed signals panic. 3 seconds protects your authority. 3 seconds protects your intelligence. 3 seconds protects your future. 3 seconds saves you from 30 regrets. Remember it. Own it. Practice it until it becomes instinct. The discipline that builds leaders. Every leader, every negotiator, every high-level performer understands one thing. Control comes from space. Power comes from intentional delay. Strength comes from choosing response over reaction. You have that choice. You have that power. You just haven't trained it yet. The 3-second rule is the gym where your emotional discipline gets built. Rep after rep after rep. Pause after pause after pause. It's not about perfection. It's about discipline. It's about choosing who you want to be before the moment pressures you into becoming someone you're not. And here's the truth most people never learn. If you can control 3 seconds, you can control your life. Transition to next chapter. You've learned how to interrupt your worst instincts. Now it's time to build something deeper. The inner environment where clarity beats chaos. Because pause is power, but clarity is direction.
Power is not loud. Power is not fast. Power is not reactive. Power is patient. Power is disciplined. Power knows how to wait. And you have a choice. You can rush into decisions like everyone else, or you can become the one person in the room who holds still long enough to shift the entire dynamic. That's the key. Because in every conflict, in every negotiation, in every conversation, there is always one truth. The one who waits wins. Not because waiting is passive, but because waiting is strategic. You don't rush. You don't crumble. You don't chase. You don't explain yourself before you understand the moment. Waiting gives you leverage. Waiting gives you clarity. Waiting gives you control. And you don't need their permission to wait.
Patience is psychological warfare. Most people crack under silence. Most people panic when things don't move instantly. Most people reveal everything too early because they're terrified of uncertainty. You don't have to be most people. When you wait, something powerful happens. The other person begins to question themselves. They wonder what you're thinking. They wonder what you're planning. They wonder what you know that they don't. That's the key. You gain psychological advantage because patience projects strength. In conflict, the aggressor collapses first. In arguments, the emotional one exposes their weakness. In negotiations, the impatient one pays more. In relationships, the chaser loses the frame. The one who waits wins. You have a choice. You can rush because of fear, or you can wait because of discipline. It's not about insecurity. It's about discipline. Example number 1. Job offers. Let's talk real-world power. Imagine this. You're offered a job. The company expects you to say yes instantly. Most people do. Most people get excited, emotional, impulsive. Not you. You wait. You slow the process down. You take 24 hours. You take 48 hours. You breathe. Why? Because waiting tells the employer one thing. You're not desperate. You're evaluating. You're choosing. And that shifts the frame from, please hire me, to, you're lucky to have me. You don't need their permission to evaluate your worth. You don't need their permission to pause. You don't need their permission to choose long-term. The one who waits wins. Example number 2. Arguments. Arguments expose impatience. Arguments expose ego. Arguments expose emotional instability. You've seen it. Someone gets triggered and immediately snaps, immediately reacts, immediately defends. You know what that person loses? Respect, leverage, control. But the person who waits, the person who listens, the person who pauses and responds slowly, that person wins the argument without ever raising their voice. Silence makes the other person reveal more than they should. Patience makes the other person expose the real problem. Waiting allows you to speak with precision instead of panic. You have a choice. You can fight emotionally, or you can respond intentionally. That's the key. Example number 3. Dating and social dynamics. In dating and relationships, nothing reveals weakness faster than impatience. You text too fast. You over-respond. You chase validation. You fill every silence. You try to prove your worth. That's insecurity. That's fear. That's ego disguised as effort. It's not about loneliness. It's about discipline. Waiting sends a different signal, a stronger signal, a higher value signal. Patience shows self-respect. Patience shows emotional maturity. Patience shows you don't base your worth on someone else's timing. The one who waits wins. Not because waiting is a game, but because waiting means you're not controlled by anxiety or scarcity. You don't need their permission to slow down. You don't need their permission to evaluate compatibility. You don't need their permission to choose peace over panic. Why waiting feels uncomfortable? Let's break it down. Waiting is uncomfortable because it forces you to confront your fear. You fear missing out. You fear losing control. You fear being forgotten. You fear silence. But silence is where clarity lives.
Silence is where discipline grows. Silence is where emotional strength is built. You have a choice. You can run back to your old patterns, or you can sit long enough to become someone new. That's the key. Waiting is uncomfortable because it exposes how little control you actually had. But here's the truth. Waiting creates control. When you wait, your emotions calm down. Your thoughts rearrange. Your priorities realign. Your decisions improve. It's not about hesitation. It's about discipline. The discipline of delayed action. You need to hear this clearly. Not acting immediately is an action. Not reacting instantly is control. Not responding emotionally is strength. Waiting doesn't make you passive. Waiting makes you strategic. Every leader you admire understands delayed action. Every negotiator you respect understands timing. Every confident, composed person has mastered the pause. And you have a choice. You can rush because of fear, or you can wait because of discipline. It's not about insecurity. It's about discipline. How to practice waiting. Real instructions. Here's what you do starting today. Rule number 1. Never answer immediately. Unless it's life or death, you wait. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. A minute. An hour. A day. You decide the window. You control the pace. You own the moment. Rule number 2. Let silence work for you. Don't jump to fill the gap. Let the silence breathe. Let the other person speak first. Let them reveal more. Let them chase. Silence makes people uncomfortable. Your job is to stay calm. Your job is to stay grounded. Rule number 3. Train the impulse. Every time you feel the urge to react fast, pause, breathe, wait. That impulse is your ego. And you're not living by ego anymore. You're living by discipline. It's not about speed, it's about discipline. The identity shift. When you learn to wait, you change who you are. You stop being controlled. You stop being predictable. You stop being emotionally volatile. You become calm. You become steady. You become deliberate. You become someone people respect. You become someone who cannot manipulate. You become someone who moves with intention, not insecurity. The one who waits wins. Because the one who waits is the one who sees clearly. The one who waits is the one who stays in control. The one who waits is the one who leads.
You think you make bad decisions because you're weak. You think you mess up because you lack confidence. You think you panic, overthink, or overreact because something is wrong with you. No, that's not the truth. The truth is simple. Your brain is fogged. Your system is hijacked. Your chemistry is running the show. And you have a choice. A choice to understand what's really happening, or a choice to keep letting your biology sabotage your life. That's the key. This chapter isn't about judgment. It's about clarity. Because every bad decision you've made, every impulsive message you regret, every argument you escalated, every opportunity you ruined, they all came from one thing: brain fog. Not laziness, not stupidity, not weakness. Fog. Cortisol spikes,
adrenaline storms, emotional hijacking. Your body goes into survival mode. Your mind goes offline. Your decisions get sloppy. And the harsh truth is this: you've been letting a foggy brain run your life. But you don't have to. You have a choice. Because the moment you pause, the moment you interrupt the chemical storm, you clear the fog long enough to think like the person you're meant to be. Clear mind, strong move. Say it again. Say it with intent. Say it until it becomes instinct. Clear mind, strong move. What brain fog really is. Most people have no idea what's happening inside their body. You get triggered. You get insulted. You get scared. You get offended. You get embarrassed. And instantly, your cortisol spikes, your adrenaline floods, your heart rate increases, your breathing shortens. And something crucial happens. Your prefrontal cortex, the logical, strategic, disciplined part of your brain, shuts down. You don't need their permission to understand your biology. You don't need a degree in neuroscience. You just need to know this: when your emotions take over, your thinking disappears. And when your thinking disappears, your decisions collapse. That's the key. Emotional hijacking. This is the term psychologists use, but let's make it simple. Emotional hijacking means your survival brain steals control. The part of you that wants to fight, or run, or react instantly takes over the wheel. And that's when you say things you regret, send texts you shouldn't, make promises you can't keep, react in ways that cost you power, relationships, and opportunities. Why? Because your brain was fogged. And you have a choice. You can keep living that way, or you can learn the one discipline that cuts through the fog every time: the pause. The pause is not weakness. The pause is not hesitation. The pause is not overthinking. The pause is neurological dominance. The pause interrupts the hijacking. The pause lowers cortisol. The pause slows adrenaline. The pause reactivates the prefrontal cortex. The pause clears the fog. Clear mind, strong move. Why you make better decisions after the pause. Let's break this down in simple, real terms. 1. Your emotions calm down physically. Your heart rate drops. Your breathing deepens. Your muscles loosen. Your body shifts from attack now to think first. You don't need their permission to breathe. You don't need their permission to slow down. 2. Your brain regains access to logic. In the pause, your rational brain reboots. Your awareness sharpens. Your intelligence returns. Your ability to see consequences comes back online. This alone changes everything. 3. You see the full situation instead of the moment of panic. When you pause, you zoom out. You see long-term. You see the truth. You see the power dynamic. You realize it's not about anger. It's about discipline. It's not about ego. It's about clarity. And when your mind clears, your next move becomes accurate. Clear mind, strong move. Real-world example number 1. The text message trap. You know this one. Someone sends you something disrespectful, something rude, something that hits your ego. Your first instinct is to fire back, to defend yourself, to win the moment. That's brain fog. That's not strength. That's not clarity. That's not power. That's chemical panic pulling your strings. But when you pause, when you sit with the discomfort, when you breathe before you respond, something shifts. The fog clears. The mind clears. Your emotions lose control. And suddenly you realize you don't need to reply instantly. You don't need their permission to take your time. You don't need to match their disrespect. Clear mind, strong move. Real-world example number 2. The argument that explodes. Most arguments explode because someone reacts fast. Fast reactions come from fear. Fast reactions come from ego. Fast reactions come from emotional fog. But imagine this. You pause. You let the other person speak. You let them show their emotional state. You let the fog settle. Then you respond calmly, intentionally, decisively. That one move changes the entire outcome. You control the frame, you control the direction, you control yourself. And that's always the strongest position. Clear mind, strong move. Real-world example number 3. Decisions under stress. The worst decisions are made when you're stressed. You accept offers too quickly. You apologize when you're not wrong. You commit to things you don't want. You say yes because you're overwhelmed. But none of those choices came from clarity. They came from fog. And you have a choice. From now on, every major decision gets a pause. You take a breath. You take a step back. You let your mind clear. It's not about fear. It's about discipline. How to clear the fog. Training instructions. These are the habits that rewire your brain. 1. Slow your breathing immediately. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. Repeat until your body drops out of panic mode. 2. Ground yourself in the present moment. Feel your feet. Feel your hands. Feel your breath. Bring your mind back. Bring your awareness back. Bring your clarity back. 3. Delay your response. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute, whatever it takes. You don't need their permission to wait. You don't owe anyone instant reactions. You don't need to rush into mistakes. The fog lifts, the mind clears, the move becomes strong. Clear mind, strong move. Identity shift. This is where everything changes. When you learn to pause, you stop being controlled by fear. You stop being manipulated by emotion. You stop living in survival mode. You become strategic. You become calm. You become intentional. You move like someone who knows exactly who they are. You move with clarity. You move with power. Clear mind, strong move. Say it until it becomes your default.
You already know this truth, but you've ignored it for years. Your impulses are killing you. Not your enemies, not your circumstances, not your luck. Your impulses. That sudden need to reply instantly. That itch to defend your ego. That urge to clap back. That emotional spike that hijacks your mind. You think it's harmless. You think it's just who I am. You think reacting fast makes you strong. But hear me clearly. If you don't kill the impulse will kill opportunity. That's the key. You have a choice. Every time you feel that spark inside your chest, you have a choice. You can surrender to the impulse, or you can discipline it. And discipline always wins long term. Because it's not about emotional fireworks. It's about discipline. It's not about ego. It's about strategy. It's not about being fast. It's about being effective. The impulse makes you sloppy. The impulse makes you blind. The impulse makes you small. And you already know where impulse-driven decisions lead. Regret, embarrassment, damage control, burned bridges, lost opportunities. Think about your life right now. Think about the messages you sent too fast, the arguments you escalated too quickly, the apologies you later had to make because you didn't pause, the trust you broke because you reacted instead of reflecting. Every chapter of your life has a moment where the impulse took the wheel. And every time, the story ended the same way, with regret. But you can rewrite that story, starting today, starting now, by learning how to kill the impulse before it kills you. The impulse loves speed. Your future loves patience. Let me break it down. The impulse only exists for a few seconds, 3 to 7 seconds to be exact. That's the window when your primitive brain takes over. That's when adrenaline surges. That's when cortisol spikes. That's when your nervous system screams, "Act now," even when it's the worst time to act. That's when you feel the urge to fire back a message, prove someone wrong, defend your pride, show emotion to win the moment. But you're not trying to win the moment. You're trying to win your life. That's the key. And to win your life, you kill the impulse. Because the impulse works for your emotions, but discipline works for your future. Real-world impulse triggers. Let's go deeper. You need clarity. You need examples. You need the truth. Here are the most common impulses that destroy people. 1. Replying instantly to prove you don't care. But you do care. That's why you replied instantly. Instant replies scream insecurity, not power. 2. Defending your ego mid-argument. You feel attacked, so you attack back. But you don't win arguments that way. You just lose respect. 3. Overreacting emotionally because something felt wrong. That feeling is temporary. The consequences of reacting to it are not. 4. Posting, texting, or calling without thinking it through. One bad message can ruin a month of progress. 5. Making big decisions from a small emotional moment. Quitting, walking away, sending final messages, burning bridges. You do it because you're heated, but heat cools, and when it cools, regret sets in. Every one of these impulses feels justified in the moment, but none of them serve your long-term game. Because if you don't kill the impulse will kill opportunity. And you've lost enough opportunities already. How to kill the impulse. You need tools, real tools, practical tools. Here are the ones that work. 1. The pause before anything rule. If you feel anything spike, pause. 3 seconds. Just 3. You can transform your entire life with 3 seconds. 1 breath in, hold, release. Impulse gone. Power restored. You have a choice. Every time. 2. The type it but don't send it strategy. This one will save you from disasters. Write the text, feel the release, then delete it. You don't need their permission to stay silent. Your silence is your strategy. 3. The let the emotion peak and fall rule. Emotions rise fast, but they fall fast too. Give them time. Let the wave pass. React after the wave, not during it. That's discipline.
4. The go longer than you want to method. If 3 seconds works, try 10. Try 30. Try a full minute. The longer you wait, the stronger you become. Because the one who waits wins. And you don't need their permission to wait. Your timing is yours. 5. The ask the future you technique. Before acting, ask, will the future me thank me for this move? If the answer is no, don't do it. It's not about your feelings. It's about your discipline. That's the key. Impulse is weakness. Discipline is power. Let me tell you a truth most people never accept. Weak people react fast. Strong people react slow. Weak people speak instantly. Strong people speak intentionally. Weak people think winning the moment is everything. Strong people know winning the long game is everything. You have a choice. Who do you want to be? Because if you don't kill the impulse will kill opportunity. And you've lost enough opportunities already. The transformation starts now. Starting today, your identity changes. You are no longer impulsive. You are deliberate. You are no longer reactive. You are precise. You are no longer controlled by emotion. You control the environment you respond to. You don't need their permission to slow down. You don't need their permission to wait. You don't need their permission to choose discipline. Your power comes from restraint. Your strength comes from patience. Your advantage comes from ending impulsive behavior permanently. Because the truth is simple. Kill the impulse before it kills you. Master this lesson, and you master the entire game of emotional power. You mastered your impulses today. Now it's time to master the battlefield of attention itself.
There's a hard truth you've avoided for most of your life, a truth that's been costing you power, respect, and peace. You've been too available, too reachable, too quick to respond, too eager to prove you're there. But listen carefully. You don't owe anyone immediate access. That's the key. You have a choice. Every single day, you decide who gets access to your time, your attention, your energy, and your mind. But because you never made that choice consciously, you've been living on everyone else's terms. You reply instantly. You answer calls you don't want to take. You respond to messages that don't deserve your time. You jump the moment someone pulls your attention. You don't need their permission to slow down. You don't need their permission to take your time. You don't need their permission to protect your energy. Your attention is one of the most valuable currencies you own. And you've been giving it away for free. Today, that ends. Because access is earned, not automatic. Instant availability destroys respect. You think replying fast makes you responsible, but it makes you predictable. You think it makes you loyal, but it makes you easy. You think it makes you dependable, but it makes you disposable. People value what they have to earn, and people respect what is limited. Your time included, your presence included, your attention included. If you make yourself always available, people will treat you like you're always available. That's the key. Instant access kills your power. It kills your boundaries. It kills your focus. When anyone can reach you at any moment, you're not living your life. You're reacting to theirs.
You have a choice. Stop reacting. Start controlling. The real cost of being too available. Let's talk consequences. Real consequences. Because every time you respond instantly, you pay a price. You lose focus. Your mind jumps. Your momentum breaks. Your productivity dies. You lose authority. People assume you're free. People assume you're unoccupied. People assume you're waiting. You lose self-respect. Because deep down, you know the truth. You're prioritizing others over yourself. You're abandoning your own path to follow someone else's urgency. You lose psychological positioning. Power belongs to the one who controls the pace, and responding instantly puts the other person in control. You lose emotional balance. Instant availability forces you into instant reactions, and instant reactions lead to mistakes. It's not about being cold. It's about being disciplined. It's not about ignoring people. It's about prioritizing yourself. You have a choice. Live on your terms or live on theirs. Delayed responses are not disrespect. They are boundaries. Here's what you need to understand. Delaying your response is not disrespectful. It's responsible. It's strategic. It's powerful. When you pause before replying, you reclaim your mind. You reclaim your time. You reclaim your authority. You don't owe anyone immediate access. Not your friends, not your coworkers, not your family, not your partner, not strangers. Access is earned, not automatic. The people who respect you won't mind the delay. The people who get angry at your delay were never respectful of your boundaries to begin with. That's the key. Real-world examples of controlled access. Let's make it real. Let's make it practical. Someone texts you with drama. Don't reply instantly. Drama thrives on urgency. Starve the urgency. Your boss emails you after hours. Unless it's your job role or emergency, reply tomorrow. Respect your time first. Someone you're dating messages you. You don't need to reply instantly to prove interest. Interest is shown through intention, not speed. A friend calls you unexpectedly. If you're busy, let it ring. Your time is not a public hotline. Random notifications pop up. You don't need to jump. Your attention is yours. You have a choice. Do you serve your schedule, or do you serve their impulses? How to control access without losing connection. This is not about cutting people off. This is about controlling the rhythm of your life. Here's how to do it properly. 1. Use controlled delays. Wait 5 minutes. Then 30 minutes. Then an hour. Not as a game, as a discipline. You're training your mind. You're building control. You're teaching yourself that not everything demands a reaction. 2. Respond when you're ready, not when you're triggered. Never reply when emotional. Never answer during stress. Never engage during irritation. Your best decisions come from clarity, not impulse. That's the key. 3. Set time blocks for communication. Check messages at specific times. Morning, midday, evening. Not every minute, not every second. You run your time, not your notifications. 4. Give yourself permission to not be available. This one is huge. You must internalize it. You don't owe their permission to disconnect. You don't owe anyone immediate answers. Your silence is not disrespect. It's self-respect. 5. Reward yourself for delayed responses. Every time you delay a reaction, remind yourself, I'm in control. Every small win builds a stronger identity. Because it's not about being fast, it's about being disciplined. The shift in power. You'll notice something interesting happen. When you stop giving instant access, people treat you differently. They speak to you with more respect. They choose their words carefully. They don't waste your time. They value your replies more. They approach you with intention. Because scarcity creates value, and your access is valuable. That's the key. This is your new standard. From today on, your time is yours. Your attention is yours. Your focus is yours. Your energy is yours. You choose who gets access. You choose when they get access. You choose how much access they get. You have a choice. And you will choose yourself. Because you don't owe anyone immediate access. Access is earned, not automatic. Master this truth, and you reclaim your life. You rebuilt your boundaries today. Now, let's rebuild your identity from the ground up.
Most people think their words reveal who they are. Most people think their intentions define them. Wrong. Completely wrong. People judge you by your reactions, not your intentions. They don't see the thought behind the comment. They don't hear the careful reasoning you had in your mind. All they see is the first thing you do. And here's the brutal truth. Your instant reactions expose your fears. They expose your insecurities. They expose your lack of discipline. They reveal the untrained version of you. And you have a choice to keep being reactive, or a choice to pause, to step back, to redefine yourself in every single interaction. That's the key. Because a reaction exposes you. A pause upgrades you. Say it again. Say it with intention. Let it sink in. A reaction exposes you. A pause upgrades you. Why reactions expose you? Every time someone pushes your buttons, your first response is raw. It's unfiltered. It's primal. It's emotional. It might be anger. It might be defensiveness. It might be arrogance. It might be panic. And in that single instant, the world sees who you really are under pressure. Think about it. Have you ever regretted a reply you sent in anger? A message you fired off too fast? A comment you blurted in a meeting? A gesture you made without thinking? Those reactions told the truth about your emotional control. Whether you like it or not, they spoke louder than your intentions. Your reaction reveals your state. Your pause redefines it. The power of the pause. The pause is not hesitation. The pause is not weakness. The pause is not avoiding confrontation. The pause is a tool of mastery. When you pause, you do 3 things simultaneously. You regain control. Your prefrontal cortex takes over. Your rational mind re-engages. Your decision-making clears. You manage perception.
people see you as calm. They see you as composed. They see someone who cannot be rattled. You redefine identity. In that moment, you aren't the reactive person. You aren't the person ruled by emotion. You are disciplined. You are intentional. You are upgraded. That's the difference. A reaction exposes you. A pause upgrades you. Real-world examples of pause versus reaction. Let's make it concrete. 1. The angry email. Someone emails you something provocative. Reactive you fires back instantly. You escalate the situation. You look defensive. You lose authority. Pause. Take a breath. Step away for 5 minutes. Think before responding. The email you eventually send communicates control, not chaos. It upgrades you. 2. The heated meeting. A colleague criticizes you publicly. Reactive you snaps. You expose ego. You alienate others. Pause. Breathe. Respond calmly, factually, decisively. People remember your composure. They remember the upgraded version of you. 3. Social media triggers. Someone posts something offensive. Reactive you comments immediately. You reveal insecurity. You expose neediness. Pause. Wait. Decide if it's worth engaging. Maybe you don't respond at all. That pause upgrades your social presence. How to train the pause. The pause is a skill. It must be practiced. Here's how you build it. 1. Count before you speak or act. 1, 2, 3. Even 3 seconds changes the game. 3 seconds to check your intent. 3 seconds to evaluate consequences. 3 seconds to reclaim control. 2. Breathe consciously. Slow your breath. Inhale deeply. Exhale slowly. Your body calms. Your mind sharpens. 3. Visualize the outcome. Before reacting, ask, does this action upgrade me or expose me? If it exposes you, pause. If it upgrades you, proceed intentionally. 4. Practice with low-stakes triggers. Everyday moments train your pause. Traffic, interruptions, minor criticisms, minor annoyances. Every pause here becomes instinct for bigger moments. The identity shift of the pause. Here's the truth few people grasp. Every pause reprograms your identity. Every reaction reinforces your flaws. Reactive you is predictable. Reactive you is exposed. Reactive you is weak. Paused you is intentional. Paused you is respected. Paused you is strong. The world will treat you according to what you show consistently, your reactions or your pauses, and you have a choice. A reaction exposes you. A pause upgrades you. Say it again. Feel it. Live it. Pause as a strategy in every area of life. Conversations. Pause before replying to criticism, gossip, or provocation. Negotiations. Pause before answering, offering, or conceding. Conflict. Pause before reacting to anger, blame, or attack. Personal growth. Pause before committing to distractions, impulses, or unnecessary drama. Every pause is a statement. You are not impulsive. You are not reactive. You are not controlled by others. You are in charge. You are elite. You are disciplined. The daily habit of pausing. This is not a one-time act. This is a daily habit. Every interaction, every decision, every response is an opportunity. Pause in the morning. Pause at work. Pause in conversations. Pause before texting. Pause before posting. Pause before reacting emotionally. Every pause builds identity. Every pause upgrades perception. Every pause strengthens your control. And remember, you have a choice. You don't need their permission. You don't need instant reaction to prove anything. It's not about being fast. It's about being deliberate. It's not about being right. It's about being composed. It's not about winning the moment. It's about mastering yourself. A reaction exposes you. A pause upgrades you.
Every moment of life is a trigger. Every interaction is a stimulus. Every word, glance, or action from someone else sets something off in you. And every time, you have a choice. Yes, you have a choice. You can react instantly. You can lash out. You can surrender to emotion. Or you can control the space between trigger and action. That micro gap, that invisible pause, that tiny fraction of a second where everything changes. That's the key. The gap is not empty. The gap is power. The gap is freedom. The gap is where you regain control. Say it with me. The gap is where you regain control. Say it again. Feel it. Live it. The truth about reactions. Most people think life is what happens to them. Most people think their reactions define the moment. Most people think they have no choice but to respond immediately. Wrong. Dead wrong. The moment someone triggers you, that insult, that criticism, that frustrating situation, is your opportunity. Opportunity to show who you are. Opportunity to act deliberately. Opportunity to upgrade your response instead of exposing your weakness. Reactive people let triggers dictate their actions. Disciplined people control the micro gap. The gap is where you regain control. Viktor Frankl and the freedom in the gap. Viktor Frankl, the great psychologist and Holocaust survivor, taught a principle that few truly understand. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Think about that. Every time something happens to you, there is a space, a moment, a microsecond where you can decide your next move. Most people ignore it. Most people surrender to instinct. Most people give their power away. But you can master the gap. And in mastering it, you control your life. Why the gap matters. Why focus on this space? Because the gap separates impulsive mistakes from intentional mastery. It separates weakness from power. It separates regret from long-term results. Think about every argument you've ever had. Every time you fired back too fast. Every moment you reacted emotionally instead of strategically. What caused most of those problems? The lack of a gap. The lack of pause. The lack of conscious control. Every heated response, every regretful word, every impulsive action could have been avoided if you controlled the space between trigger and action. The gap is where you regain control. Real-world application of the gap. Let's break it down to real life. 1. Conversations. Someone insults you. Reactive you fires back instantly. You escalate conflict. You expose ego. Pause. Breathe. Evaluate. Respond intentionally. The conversation changes. You redefine the interaction. 2. Workplace. Your boss criticizes you publicly. Instant reaction is defensive, emotional, sloppy. Pause in the gap. Choose your words. Respond with calm authority. Now you appear composed. You appear professional. You appear in control. 3. Relationships. Your partner triggers frustration. Reactive you argues. You hurt the connection. You escalate tension. Pause. Feel the emotion. Choose the response that strengthens connection instead of weakening it. The gap becomes your ally. 4. Social media and texts. Someone provokes you online. You're tempted to reply immediately. Reactive you posts and escalates drama. Pause. Let the moment pass. Decide if engagement is necessary. You keep your reputation intact. You maintain control. How to train the microgap. You have to train this. It's a skill. It's not natural for most people. Here's how. 1. Recognize the trigger. Awareness is the first step. Notice your impulses. Notice the urge to react. That recognition creates the gap. 2. Insert a physical pause. Take a breath. Step back. Count silently. 1, 2, 3. Even a 3-second pause can prevent disaster. Even a 3-second pause can change the trajectory of the day. 3. Observe emotion without acting. Feel the anger. Feel the frustration. Feel the fear. Feel it. Don't follow it. Let the emotion exist without dictating your response. The gap is your buffer. The gap is your control. 4. Decide with intention. Ask yourself, does this response upgrade me or expose me? The answer dictates your action, and that decision is your power. 5. Repeat and reinforce daily. Every conversation, every email, every comment, every situation. The microgap becomes a habit. The habit becomes identity. Your reactions become intentional instead of impulsive. The gap is your superpower. Here's the thing most people will never get. The people who master this space always rise. The people who react instantly always falter. Because the gap is where your clarity returns. Your confidence grows. Your strategy manifests. No one else can control your gap, only you. That's the freedom Frankl spoke of. The gap is your superpower. The gap is where you regain control. Say it again. Repeat it. Live it. The daily practice of control. Make this your daily focus. Morning, midday, evening. Whenever triggered, recognize it. Pause in the gap. Decide intentionally. Act with purpose. You will notice your life changes. Your conversations become smoother. Your relationships become stronger. Your professional reputation strengthens. Your stress decreases. Your self-respect skyrockets. You have a choice. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need instant reactions. You control the gap.
It's not about being passive. It's about being disciplined. It's not about being soft. It's about being powerful. It's not about being perfect. It's about choosing intentionally.
Here's a truth few people will ever admit. When your emotions are loud, your mouth is dangerous. When your anger is hot, your words are weapons. When your excitement spikes, your judgment disappears. When your fear tightens its grip, your logic evaporates. When jealousy surges, your reactions expose weakness. And yet, most people speak exactly in these moments. They argue in anger. They brag in excitement. They plead in fear. They lash out in jealousy. Every time they destroy their credibility. Every time they regret it. Every time they prove the world sees the real, untrained them. That ends today. If your emotion is loud, your response must be silent. Say it again. Feel it. Let it sink into your bones. If your emotion is loud, your response must be silent. That's the key. You have a choice. Every time a surge rises, you decide. You can follow the surge, or you can master it. Understanding emotional surges. What is a surge? A surge is a spike of emotion that clouds your mind. It's instantaneous. It's visceral. It bypasses reason. Anger surges. You see an insult and feel the urge to strike back immediately. Excitement surges. You see opportunity and speak too fast, promising too much. Fear surges. You feel pressure and respond defensively. Jealousy surges. You feel threatened and lash out to protect ego. Every surge is dangerous. Every surge is temporary. Every surge can be controlled. And that control begins with silence. Why speaking on a surge destroys you? When you respond while surging, 3 things happen. You reveal weakness. Your words are impulsive. Your tone is raw. Your body language betrays you. You make irreversible mistakes. Emails sent in anger. Calls made in fear. Comments posted in jealousy. These actions can't be taken back. They're permanent. Even if you apologize later, the impression remains. You sacrifice long-term outcomes for short-term release. Satisfaction from venting is temporary. The damage you do is permanent. It's the classic trade. Immediate release for long-term loss. It's not about being cold. It's about being disciplined. It's not about hiding your feelings. It's about mastering the timing of your response. If your emotion is loud, your response must be silent. The logic behind silence. Think about it. The louder your emotion, the less clear your mind. The louder your heart beats, the more likely you are to regret your words. The louder the surge, the weaker your position becomes. Silence is a buffer. Silence is a reset. Silence is strategy. When you don't speak on a surge, you reclaim control. You let rational thought return. You let perspective regain power. You let clarity replace chaos. Silence is not weakness. Silence is deliberate. Silence is strength. Real-world examples of surge versus silence. 1. Anger in conversations. Someone insults you or criticizes publicly. Reactive you responds immediately, words firing like bullets. You escalate conflict. You lose composure. You look weak despite thinking you defended yourself. Silent you pauses, breathes, calculates, responds calmly, factually, without excess emotion. You dominate the interaction without raising your voice. 2. Excitement in negotiations. A deal excites you. Reactive you overpromises. You lose leverage. You undervalue yourself. Silent you waits, evaluates terms, communicates with intentionality. You gain respect. You protect your position. 3. Fear in high-stakes decisions. Pressure mounts. Reactive you panics, making rash commitments. You risk failure. Silent you steps back, assesses risk, acts deliberately. You navigate uncertainty with authority. 4. Jealousy in relationships. Someone provokes envy or insecurity. Reactive you lashes out. You damage trust. You escalate tension. Silent you holds composure, reframes perspective, responds intentionally. You protect dignity. You protect connection. How to practice responding to surges. The key is recognition and delay. Here's how to train yourself. 1. Identify the surge. Notice when emotions spike. Label it as, this is anger. This is fear. This is excitement. This is jealousy. Breathe. Inhale slowly. Exhale fully. Anchor yourself in your body. Insert a time buffer. Pause at least 3 to 5 seconds. Count silently. 1, 2, 3. Even brief silence interrupts impulsive reaction. Visualize outcomes. Ask yourself, will responding now upgrade me or expose me? Choose the response that upgrades, not the one that satisfies the surge. And repeat daily. Every conversation, every disagreement, every message, every situation. Practice builds instinct. Instinct builds mastery. The psychology of surges. Emotions are signals, not commands. They tell you something about your environment or internal state. They do not dictate your actions. Anger signals a perceived threat. Excitement signals opportunity. Fear signals risk. Jealousy signals insecurity. Your brain wants instant action. It wants release. It wants expression. But discipline overrides impulse. Pause. Assess. Act intentionally. If your emotion is loud, your response must be silent. This isn't theory. This is neuroscience. The amygdala triggers the surge. The prefrontal cortex applies reasoning. You gain control by giving your prefrontal cortex a chance to lead. The transformational effect of silence. When you stop speaking on surges, everything changes. Conversations. You communicate with authority. Negotiations. You gain leverage. Relationships. You protect trust. Reputation. You project composure. Self-respect. You reinforce discipline. People notice the calm. They respect the composure. They fear the unpredictability that is now under your control. That is power. That is mastery. That is freedom. Final habit to master. Commit to this daily. Over. Notice every surge. Pause. Breathe. Evaluate. Respond intentionally or don't respond at all. Silence is your ally. Silence is your superpower. Silence protects you from regret. Silence upgrades your identity. If your emotion is loud,
Your response must be silent. Repeat it, live it, make it instinct.
Here's a brutal truth. Fast decisions are rarely wise. Fast reactions are usually emotional. Fast choices are usually costly. And yet the world glorifies speed. Be quick, decide fast, react instantly. Stop listening to that lie. You have a choice. You can react on emotion, or you can delay strategically. You can let impulsive instincts control you, or you can decide with purpose. That's the key. Because emotions rush, wisdom waits. Say it. Let it sink in. Emotions rush, wisdom waits. Repeat it. Emotions rush, wisdom waits. Why fast emotions fail. Fast decisions feel exciting. They feel decisive. They feel like action. But excitement is not intelligence. Rage is not strategy. Fear is not clarity. Jealousy is not foresight. Fast decisions come from survival instincts, not mastery. They come from ego, not strategy. They come from impulsivity, not intention. And the cost? Missed opportunities, lost trust, regret, failed relationships, damaged careers. Every impulsive move is a lesson in what not to do if only you pay attention. You don't need their permission. You don't need to act instantly to prove yourself. You don't need to react just because someone pressures you. Emotions rush, wisdom waits. The strategic power of delay. The people who achieve the most, who influence the most, who lead the most, share one trait. They wait. They observe. They gather data. They test motives. They confirm patterns. They don't jump at the first impulse. They don't speak on emotion. They don't decide before knowing the facts. They act when clarity has returned. They act when strategy aligns with purpose. They act with precision. Slow is strong. Slow is intentional. Slow is power. Repeat it. Slow is strong. Slow is intentional. Slow is power. Real-world examples of strategic delay. Business decisions. A manager reacts immediately to a market shift. The decision is emotional. Costs skyrocket. Profits vanish. The discipline manager waits, analyzes the data, checks the trends, consults experts. Decision comes with confidence. Decision comes with precision. Decision comes with results. Leadership choices. A CEO receives negative feedback. Reactive choice equals public outburst, defensive statement. Trust erodes, authority diminishes. Slow choice. Reflect. Consider motives. Observe the bigger picture. Respond with clarity. Respect grows. Influence expands. Authority strengthens. Personal life. A friend insults you. Fast emotional reply. Damaged relationship. Regrets later. Pause. Breathe. Assess motives. Respond when clarity returns. Relationship is preserved. Respect is maintained. Investing and finance. Buying and selling on emotion equals losses. Waiting, analyzing, observing equals profitable returns. Every arena rewards patience. Every arena punishes impulsivity.
The science of slow decisions. Fast decisions are driven by the amygdala. Fear, anger, desire all hijack reasoning. Slow decisions engage the prefrontal cortex. Logic, strategy, pattern recognition, long-term thinking, clarity. The micro gap between impulse and action is where mastery is born. That is your secret weapon. Your pause, your breath, your intentional observation. Emotions rush, wisdom waits. How to practice strategic delay. You need a method. 1. Recognize the urge. Notice the impulse to act immediately. Label it. This is anger. This is excitement. This is fear. Insert a delay. Even 3 to 5 seconds changes the outcome. Breathe. Step back. Evaluate. Gather data. Ask, what do I know? What do I not know? Check facts, motives, and patterns. Visualize consequences. Fast reactions equals short-term gratification, long-term loss. Slow responses equals clarity, respect, results. Repeated principle. Slow wins. Let me repeat this because it's crucial. Fast decisions equals impulsive mistakes. Slow decisions equals calculated mastery. Emotions rush, wisdom waits. Your ability to pause is your superpower. Your ability to delay is your advantage. Your ability to observe before acting is your control over outcomes. You have a choice. You don't need to respond to pressure. You don't need to impress by acting fast. You don't need their permission to wait. It's not about speed. It's about discipline. It's not about reacting. It's about acting with purpose. It's not about proving yourself. It's about winning strategically. Daily habit of slow decisions. Practice this every day. Pause in conversations. Pause before replying to texts. Pause before committing to plans. Pause before spending money. Pause before signing contracts. Pause before reacting emotionally. Notice the results. Fewer mistakes, stronger relationships, better outcomes, increased respect, peace of mind. Slow is strong, slow is intentional, slow is power. Say it again, feel it again, live it.
Here's a truth few are willing to face. Discomfort is unavoidable. It's not optional. It's not negotiable. Life will push you. People will provoke you. Situations will challenge you. And most people react. They explode. They flee. They collapse under the pressure. But you don't have to. You have a choice. You can sit with discomfort. You can endure tension without losing yourself. You can transform pressure into power. Hold the discomfort, and the discomfort will hold you together. Say it aloud. Let it sink into your bones. Hold the discomfort, and the discomfort will hold you together. Repeat it, feel it, live it. What discomfort really is. Discomfort is a signal. It tells you something is happening that challenges your habits, your ego, your survival instincts. Physical discomfort, stress in your body, adrenaline spiking. Emotional discomfort, anger, fear, jealousy, shame, uncertainty. Situational discomfort, confrontation, criticism, uncertainty, delays,
pressure. Your brain screams, react, fight, run, solve it now. Most people obey. Most people panic. Most people destroy long-term outcomes for temporary relief. You don't need their permission. You don't need to react just because your instincts are loud. You don't need to escape just because it hurts. You have a choice, and that choice is the pause. Why sitting with discomfort matters. The pause is not passive. The pause is not weakness. The pause is discipline. Here's why. It teaches control. When you sit with tension instead of reacting, you show mastery over your impulses. You prove to yourself that you can withstand pressure without losing clarity. You upgrade your behavior while others collapse. It strengthens resilience. Discomfort is the training ground for endurance. Each pause expands your capacity to tolerate uncertainty and difficulty. Every uncomfortable situation you sit through makes the next one easier to navigate. It rewires instinctive behavior. Your brain learns that discomfort is manageable. Your prefrontal cortex engages instead of your amygdala. Your responses become intentional, not impulsive. Hold the discomfort, and the discomfort will hold you together. Real-world examples of discipline in discomfort. 1. Workplace tension. A manager criticizes your work in front of peers. Reactive response: lash out, make excuses, or argue defensively. Result: embarrassment, lost credibility, strained relationships. Disciplined response: pause, sit with the tension, listen, assess the criticism, respond calmly. Result: respect preserved, authority maintained, clarity reinforced. 2. Personal conflict. A loved one provokes you with unfair words. Reactive response: yell, storm off, retaliate. Disciplined response: breathe, hold the discomfort, allow emotions to settle before responding. Result: connection preserved, trust strengthened, unnecessary escalation avoided. 3. Physical or mental challenge. You are pushed to complete a grueling task, a difficult workout, or a high-pressure project. Reactive response: quit, complain, or rush. Disciplined response: embrace the discomfort, endure the tension, focus on each step intentionally. Result: achievement, growth, and confidence in your ability to tolerate pressure. The psychology behind sitting with discomfort. Discomfort triggers the amygdala: fight, flight, or freeze. Immediate action feels necessary, but immediate action is often destructive. Sitting with discomfort engages the prefrontal cortex. It allows reasoning to override emotion. It transforms the situation from chaos to opportunity. This is not theory, it's neuroscience. It's the difference between impulsive reactions and intentional mastery. Hold the discomfort, and the discomfort will hold you together. How to train the discipline of sitting with discomfort. Step 1. Recognize the surge. Notice tension, irritation, fear, or pressure. Label it. This is discomfort. This is tension. This is challenge. Step 2. Breathe and anchor. Slow, deep breaths. Focus on your body. Ground yourself in the present. Step 3. Insert the pause. Count silently. 1, 2, 3. Even a few seconds interrupts the automatic reaction. Even a few seconds transforms the outcome. Step 4. Observe without reacting. Notice your thoughts, feelings, impulses. Do not obey them immediately. Let clarity emerge. Step 5. Respond with intention. After sitting with discomfort, act only when you have control. Speak calmly, decide strategically, move deliberately. Step 6. Repeat. Every day, every interaction, every challenge, every moment of tension. Repeated principle. Discipline over impulse. Discomfort is unavoidable. How you handle it defines you. If you explode, you prove weakness. If you flee, you surrender control. If you pause, you gain authority. If you endure, you become unshakable. It's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about mastering it. It's not about eliminating tension. It's about upgrading your response. It's not about being perfect. It's about being disciplined. Hold the discomfort, and the discomfort will hold you together. The transformational effect. When you master this discipline, you control conversations instead of being controlled by them. You make decisions with clarity instead of chaos. You protect relationships instead of damaging them. You maintain composure instead of surrendering to impulses. You become reliable under pressure instead of predictable under provocation. The pause is your shield. The discomfort is your classroom. Discipline is your weapon. Daily habit of discipline. Practice this habit. Notice tension. Pause. Breathe. Sit with discomfort. Respond intentionally. Over time, discomfort stops dictating your behavior. Your mind becomes calm. Your actions become deliberate. Your identity becomes resilient.
Here's a truth that most people never grasp. Your calm is more valuable than your words, more valuable than your actions, more valuable than your reactions. Because calmness is not weakness. Calmness is power. Calmness is influence. Calmness is currency. And yet, most people squander it. They panic under pressure. They yell when provoked. They overreact at the wrong moment. They let emotion dictate behavior. You have a choice. You can let your nervous system run the show, or you can own your presence. You can let tension control outcomes, or you can remain unmoved, unshakable, authoritative. Calm people control the room. Say it. Let it sink in. Calm people control the room. Repeat it. Feel it. Live it. Why calm is power. Calmness communicates authority without words. It signals competence, reliability, and mastery. In a boardroom, a calm executive earns trust more than a loud one. In negotiations, a calm negotiator extracts better terms than an anxious one. In personal relationships, calm presence diffuses tension and commands respect. Calm is a psychological asset. It is a form of invisible wealth. People gravitate toward it. People defer to it. People follow it. You don't need their permission. You don't need validation to remain composed. You don't need approval to own your state. You have a choice. You can react impulsively, or you can pause, breathe, and project calm. That's the key. The cost of losing calm. Fast reactions, high emotion, and panicked decisions destroy influence. A manager yells under stress. Employees retreat. Respect erodes. Influence fades.
A parent shouts at a child in frustration. Authority diminishes, connection weakens. A friend responds in anger to a text. Relationships fracture, trust is lost. Every time you surrender calm, you pay a price. Your presence is weakened. Your credibility is questioned. Your opportunities diminish. It's not about being emotionless. It's about mastering the emotion before it masters you. It's not about suppressing your feelings. It's about projecting control, authority, and clarity. It's not about avoiding stress. It's about using stress as a signal, not a trigger. Calm people control the room. How to cultivate calmness as currency. Calmness is a skill, not a trait. You can develop it with discipline. 1. Anchor yourself physically. Stand or sit with straight posture. Breathe slowly, deeply, and intentionally. Feel your body grounded, present, in control. 2. Observe, don't react. Notice the emotional surge. Label it. This is tension. This is frustration. This is pressure. Do not obey the impulse to react. 3. Control the pace of response. Count silently. 1, 2, 3. Use this micro-delay to reassert control. Decide intentionally how to respond, not react. 4. Repeat affirmations of control. Say to yourself, calm is power. I control my state. My presence dictates the room. Calm people control the room. 5. Practice daily. Every conversation, every interaction, every challenge. The habit of calm compounds. Your nervous system rewires. Your presence strengthens. Real-world examples. 1. Leadership. During a crisis, a CEO remains composed. Employees followed the calm leader, not the panicked one. Decisions are rational, strategic, and respected. 2. Negotiation. A buyer pressures you for immediate commitment. Reacting emotionally equals giving up leverage. Remaining calm equals observing, asking questions, holding firm. Result? Better deal, preserved authority. 3. Social influence. Someone insults you or provokes you publicly. Reacting emotionally equals losing credibility. Pausing and responding calmly equals asserting dominance without aggression. Result? Others respect you, even if they disagree. The psychology of calmness. When you maintain calm, your brain operates from the prefrontal cortex. Reasoning overrides emotion. Strategic thinking replaces impulsivity. When you react in panic, your amygdala hijacks your brain. Fight, flight, or freeze dominates. Decisions are rushed, mistakes are made, regret follows. Calm is wealth because it creates options. It slows the game down. It increases clarity. It amplifies influence. It turns every interaction into a controlled advantage. Calm people control the room. The habit of calm. Practice the following daily. When pressured, pause for 3 to 5 seconds. Focus on slow, deliberate breaths. Observe emotions without obeying them.
Respond with measured intention. Repeat the mantra, calm is power. Over time, calm becomes instinctive. Chaos no longer controls you. Tension no longer provokes you. Others unconsciously follow your lead. You have a choice. You can panic, or you can own the moment. You can lose composure, or you can hold the currency of calm. Repeated principle. Calm is currency. Let's reinforce this truth. Calm is influence. Calm is authority. Calm is trust. Calm is power. Calm is currency. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being strategic. It's not about suppressing your feelings. It's about channeling them. It's not about avoiding stress. It's about using stress to assert control. Calm people control the room. Transformational effect. Master calmness and you master interaction. Conversations become your domain, not theirs. Negotiations shift in your favor. Tensions dissolve before they escalate. Trust grows effortlessly. Influence and authority solidify. Your calm is visible. Your calm is contagious. Your calm earns respect. Your calm shapes outcomes.
Here's a brutal truth. Most people make their worst decisions in the heat of emotion. They act fast. They react impulsively. They chase relief. They call it instinct. They call it passion. They call it urgency. I call it disaster waiting to happen. You have a choice. You can react and regret, or you can detach and dominate. You can let emotion hijack your decisions, or you can step back, regain perspective, and choose power. Distance creates clarity. Say it aloud. Let it sink into your mind. Distance creates clarity. Repeat it. Feel it. Live it. Why detachment matters. When you are emotionally tied to an outcome, your judgment clouds. Your thinking narrows. Your impulses rule. In negotiations, emotional attachment makes you give up too soon. In relationships, attachment makes you react defensively or demand validation. In career decisions, attachment makes you rush, overcommit, or burn bridges. Emotional proximity is a trap. It feels urgent. It feels necessary. It feels immediate. But distance is freedom. Distance is insight. Distance is strategic advantage. You don't need their permission. You don't need to act just because the world pressures you. You don't need to be available to the drama of others. You have a choice. Detach. Step back. Regain control. That's the key. The psychology behind detachment. Emotional attachment triggers the amygdala. Fight, flight, or freeze dominates. Cortisol spikes, adrenaline floods. Impulses scream, act now. Detachment activates the prefrontal cortex. Logic returns, perspective emerges. Options become visible. You see the whole board, not just the piece in front of you. It's not about being cold. It's about being strategic. It's not about shutting off emotion. It's about creating the mental space to decide wisely. It's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about using clarity to navigate tension. Distance creates clarity. How to practice detachment. Detachment is a skill. It's a discipline. You can train it.
1. Recognize emotional hijacking. Notice when your heart is racing. Notice when panic, anger, or desire is dictating thoughts. Label it. This is emotion. This is pressure. 2. Physically step back. Remove yourself from the immediate environment, if possible. Pause the conversation. Pause the task. Pause the reaction. Even micro steps, taking a breath, looking away, standing up, signal control. 3. Breathe and reset. Slow, deep breaths anchor you. Focus on your body, not the stimulus. Ground yourself in the present. 4. Evaluate with perspective. Ask yourself, what outcome serves me long term? What is my role in this scenario? What is the wisest action, not the fastest? Act only when detached is returned. Respond once control is regained. Move once perspective is restored. Repeat this habit consistently. Detachment is not a one-time tool. It's a daily, conscious choice. Real-world examples of detachment. 1. Business negotiation. A client pressures you to commit immediately. Reactive, panic, concede, lose leverage. Detached, step back, pause, analyze terms, counter strategically. Result: stronger deal, preserved authority, long-term gain. Relationship conflict. A partner accuses or provokes. Reactive: yell, argue, demand, or withdraw. Detached: pause, breathe, observe emotion, respond calmly. Result: resolution with clarity, respect maintained, no unnecessary escalation. Financial decisions. A sudden investment opportunity appears. Reactive: buy impulsively, fear missing out. Detached: step back, evaluate risk, analyze data, decide with strategy. Result: preserved capital, minimized regret, maximized opportunity. Distance creates clarity. The cost of ignoring detachment. Immediate reactions often feel satisfying. They feel like action. They feel like courage. But they rarely serve long-term objectives. Emotional reactions destroy credibility. Impulsive decisions waste resources. Attachment clouds judgment. Every time you skip detachment, you pay a hidden cost. Lost opportunity. Strained relationships. Reduced authority. Regret. You cannot afford to trade clarity for instant relief. Distance creates clarity. Repeated principle. Detachment as power. Let's reinforce the truth. Detachment is strength. Detachment is strategy. Detachment is mastery. Detachment is clarity. Detachment is power. It's not about avoiding emotion. It's about observing emotion. It's not about rejecting attachment. It's about postponing reaction. It's not about fear. It's about discipline. Distance creates clarity. The transformational effect. When you practice detachment, your decisions improve. Your reactions become strategic, not emotional. Your relationships stabilize. Your influence grows. Your long-term outcomes multiply. Detachment is not indifference. It is deliberate action through clarity. It is the micro gap between stimulus and response. It is the mastery of emotional sovereignty. Distance creates clarity. Daily habit of detachment. Pause before reacting. Step back physically or mentally. Observe emotion without obeying it. Evaluate strategically. Act only when regained clarity. Repeat this habit consistently. Instinctual detachment emerges. Your mind becomes unshakable. Your decisions become deliberate. Your presence becomes authoritative. You have a choice. React now, regret later, or detach, analyze, decide with power.
Here's a truth most people ignore. Words are overrated. Talking doesn't always advance power. Reacting instantly doesn't earn respect. Filling every silence is the fastest way to give away control. Silence works harder than words. Say it aloud. Silence works harder than words. Repeat it. Let it sink. Let it become a principle that guides every conversation. You have a choice. You can babble, justify, explain. Or you can pause, listen, and let the silence do the work. You can rush to fill the vacuum. Or you can watch others reveal themselves. Silence is a tool. Silence is influence. Silence is power. Why silence is more powerful than talk. When you remain quiet, people rush to fill the gap. They reveal information they wouldn't otherwise share. They disclose intentions, weaknesses, and even mistakes. In negotiations, the loudest person rarely wins. The one who waits, listens, and speaks last dictates terms. In arguments, the silent party frames the narrative. Others react. Others justify. Others overexpose themselves. In leadership, the calm, silent presence earns respect without saying a word. You don't need their permission. You don't need to explain. You don't need to defend. You don't need to justify. You have a choice. You can babble, justify, explain. Or you can pause, observe, and let the silence do the work. You can rush to fill the vacuum. Or you can watch others reveal themselves. Silence is a tool. Silence is influence. Silence is power. The psychology of silence. Humans are wired to fear gaps. We hate empty space in conversations. We rush to fill it. We panic when we don't hear an immediate response. Silence leverages this instinct. It forces others to act. It forces others to reveal. It forces others to make the first mistake. The amygdala reacts to silence as uncertainty. The prefrontal cortex of the silent person remains calm and strategic. The speaker panics, over-explains, or confesses. It's not about cruelty. It's about leverage. It's not about avoidance. It's about dominance. It's not about intimidation. It's about clarity. Silence works harder than words. How to use silence effectively. Silence is not passive. It is intentional. 1. Pause before responding. Before answering a question, countering a point, or replying to a message, wait. Even a 3-second pause gives you a tactical edge. It signals confidence. It signals control. It signals thoughtfulness. 2. Let others talk first. In conversations or meetings, let others reveal themselves. Ask questions, then stop. Don't rush to fill the air. Observe tone, hesitation, and word choice. 3. Resist over-explaining. Your authority is diluted with every unnecessary word. Keep your statements concise. Let silence carry weight between your sentences. 4. Use micro-silences in negotiations. After making an offer, stop. After asking a question, stop. Let the other party speak first. Let them reveal. 5.
Integrate into daily interactions. From emails to texts to calls, cultivate silence. Pause before replying. Think before responding. Observe before acting. Silence works harder than words. Real-world examples of silence. 1. Business negotiation. You propose terms. The other party hesitates. You wait. Silence fills the room. Anxiety grows. They make concessions first. You gain leverage. 2. Leadership and authority. During a meeting, a team argues over strategy. You say little. The room quiets. People turn to you. When you speak, your words carry weight. Influence is multiplied. 3. Personal relationships. Someone provokes you with criticism. You pause. You don't react. They explain, justify, or reveal their insecurity. You respond with measured clarity. Respect is preserved. 4. Social dynamics. A friend, peer, or competitor seeks validation from you. You stay quiet. They talk themselves into oversharing, confessing, or overcommitting. Your silence amplifies authority without confrontation. Silence works harder than words. The cost of talking too much. Most people talk to feel in control. The more they speak, the less influence they have. Oversharing reveals intentions. Immediate responses weaken presence. Constant justification destroys respect. Every word you don't need to say is power preserved. Every pause you hold is authority claimed. It's not about being quiet forever. It's about being deliberate. It's not about withholding information. It's about controlling when and how you reveal it. Silence works harder than words. Repeated principle. Silence as dominance. Let's hammer this truth home. Silence creates pressure. Silence elicits information. Silence strengthens authority. Silence commands respect. Silence works harder than words. It's not about fear. It's about strategy. It's not about intimidation. It's about leverage. It's not about avoidance. It's about control. Silence works harder than words. Transformational effect. When you integrate silence into your presence, conversations tilt in your favor. Negotiations swing toward your advantage. Conflicts de-escalate because you remain composed. People reveal more than they intend. Your influence becomes tangible. Silence is active, not passive. Silence is a weapon, a tool, and a discipline. Silence transforms interactions into controlled environments. You have a choice. You can fill the room with noise, or you can let silence do the heavy lifting. Silence works harder than words. Daily habit of silence. 1. Pause before speaking in all interactions. 2. Observe without interruption. 3. Ask questions, then stop. 4. Avoid over-explaining. 5. Let others reveal themselves. Over time, silence becomes instinctive. Your presence is commanding. Your authority is unquestionable. Your influence multiplies.
Here's the truth most people refuse to face. People fear those who don't react. It's not charisma. It's not titles. It's not loudness. It's unreactive power. It's emotional neutrality. It's being untouchable. Say it out loud. Unreactive is untouchable. Repeat it. Let it echo in your mind. Let it become your identity in every interaction. You have a choice. You can react impulsively. You can argue, justify, or explain. You can let your ego and fear dictate behavior. Or you can pause. You can stay calm. You can let the storm pass without touching it. That's the key. Why people fear the unreactive. Humans are wired to push buttons. They test boundaries. They provoke to gauge response. They expect reaction. When you refuse to react, you become unpredictable. When you refuse to react, you earn respect. When you refuse to react, you take control. In the workplace, the colleague who stays composed under pressure commands silent authority. In rivalries, the competitor who doesn't respond immediately forces mistakes from others. In relationships, emotional neutrality avoids unnecessary drama and manipulations. You don't need their permission. You don't need to justify your calm. You don't need to explain your silence. You have a choice. React or don't. The choice defines the level of your power. Repeat it. Unreactive is untouchable. The psychology of non-reaction. Reactivity stems from fear, ego, and attachment. Reacting fast is a signal. I am controlled by external forces. Not reacting signals, I control myself. I control the interaction. I control the outcome. When you remain unreactive, people overestimate your strength. People underestimate their ability to manipulate you. People hesitate because your calm is disarming. Your unshakable presence creates anxiety in others. Your calmness communicates power louder than words ever could. It's not about suppression. It's about discipline. It's not about passivity. It's about dominance. It's not about indifference. It's about authority. Unreactive is untouchable. How to be unreactive. 1. Pause before responding. Every comment, question, or insult triggers a choice. Count 3. Take a breath. Observe. Respond deliberately or not at all. 2. Observe, don't absorb. Let emotions arise. Feel them. Name them silently. Anger, frustration, envy. Do not follow them. Do not act on them. Feel it. Don't follow it. 3. Train with small tests. Every interaction is a practice field. Someone tries to provoke you. You pause. You don't react. Someone pressures you. You observe. You remain neutral. Small victories build unshakable habits. 4. Reinforce calm through body language. Stand tall. Relax shoulders. Control tone. Your calm is contagious. Your stillness is intimidating. People fear what they cannot influence. 5. Create micro-delays in communication. Emails, texts, calls. Wait before replying. Not out of arrogance, but discipline. The micro-delay signals self-control. The micro-delay preserves your authority. Unreactive is untouchable. Real-world examples. 1. Workplace dynamics. A manager publicly criticizes an employee. The unreactive employee listens, nods, and says nothing impulsively. Colleagues observe restraint. The manager loses leverage over that person. 2. Rivalry pressure. A rival tries to provoke you during a negotiation or competition. They speak aggressively. They challenge your authority. You stay calm, neutral, and deliberate. They overextend themselves. You win the advantage. 3. Personal relationships. A partner or friend tests you with emotional triggers. You stay unreactive. You stay steady. They cannot manipulate your behavior. Your calm creates respect and boundaries automatically. 4. Social influence. In groups, in conversations, in debates, the unreactive person becomes the center of attention. Not because they speak more, not because they dominate verbally, because others project onto them and reveal themselves first. Repeat it. Unreactive is untouchable. The cost of reactivity. Reacting fast is tempting. Instant responses feel satisfying, but they are traps. Reactivity leads to mistakes. Reactivity reduces respect. Reactivity signals weakness. Every unfiltered reaction diminishes your influence. Every unchecked emotion erodes authority. Every impulse fulfilled strengthens others' perception of control over you. You have a choice: react and lose power. Pause and gain it. Unreactive is untouchable. Repeated principle: unreactive power. Let's hammer this truth into your mind. Reactivity exposes weakness. Calmness signals strength. Emotional neutrality creates fear and respect. Deliberate restraint is dominance. Unreactive is untouchable. It's not about suppressing feelings. It's about mastering them. It's not about avoidance. It's about strategic control. It's not about being cold. It's about being untouchable. Unreactive is untouchable. Transformational effect. When you internalize unreactive behavior, conversations shift in your favor. Negotiations tilt toward your advantage. Conflicts de-escalate because you remain unshaken. People disclose more than they intend. You become respected and feared without raising your voice. Your calmness becomes currency. Your neutrality becomes leverage. Your discipline becomes authority. You have a choice: react like everyone else or rise above. The one who remains unreactive becomes untouchable. Unreactive is untouchable. Daily habits to train unreactiveness. Pause before replying to every message, call, or confrontation. Observe emotions, but don't act on them immediately. Practice stillness in small interactions. Keep your words intentional. Keep consistent in calmness even under pressure. Over time, your behavior becomes instinctive. Your presence commands respect. Your reactions, or lack thereof, define the perception of power.
Here's the hard truth. Most people move like slaves to emotion. A comment triggers rage. A disagreement triggers panic. A disappointment triggers immediate reaction. They are reactive. They are predictable. They are controlled by every little fluctuation in circumstance. You are not like most people. You are not a slave to emotion. You are a strategist. Say it aloud. Strategists win because they don't rush. Repeat it. Let it echo in your mind. Let it define the way you operate in every moment. You have a choice: react impulsively and pay the cost, or pause, analyze, and act deliberately. The choice separates the weak from the disciplined. Why moving strategically matters. Every reaction has consequences. Every instant decision leaves traces. Every uncontrolled emotion creates a chain reaction you cannot undo. Emotions are like fire. They can warm you, yes, or they can burn everything in sight. A strategist knows this. A strategist controls the tempo. A strategist chooses the moment to act, not the moment that emotion dictates. That's the key. It's not about eliminating emotion. It's about channeling it. It's not about being cold. It's about being effective. It's not about avoidance. It's about precision. Strategists win because they don't rush. The three-step system: pause, analyze, choose. This is your operational blueprint. Follow it every time an impulse rises. 1. Pause. Count 3 seconds. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel the surge, but don't follow it. You have a choice. Do not let the first instinct dictate the outcome. 2. Analyze. Ask, what's the objective? Ask, what's my goal in this interaction? Ask, how will this reaction affect me, my relationships, and my long-term results? Observation before reaction is power. Clarity precedes dominance. 3. Choose. Now act. Act deliberately. Act strategically. The move is intentional, not reactionary. The action is rooted in discipline, not in the chaos of feeling. Repeat it. Strategists win because they don't rush. Real-world applications. 1. Business and negotiations. A negotiation is heated. The other party tries to provoke you. A reactive person snaps, concedes, or bluffs poorly. A strategist observes, evaluates, and counters with precision. They gain more leverage. They control perception. Strategists win because they don't rush. Personal relationships. Arguments happen. Words are weapons. Emotions flare. The impulsive partner reacts, escalating tension. The strategist pauses, listens, and responds in a controlled way. Trust grows. Respect grows. Authority grows. Leadership under pressure. A crisis appears. A reactive leader panics. They send confusing orders. They lose the team. The strategist pauses. They analyze. They deploy a calculated response. Team follows. Chaos becomes opportunity. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need to justify your calm. You don't need to explain your delay. The results speak for themselves. The psychology behind strategic movement. Emotions are not commands. They are signals. They are indicators of values, fears, and priorities. If you act on every signal, you surrender control. You become predictable. You let circumstances dictate your life. The strategist decodes the signal. The strategist delays action until clarity appears. The strategist takes back control from chaos. You have a choice. React now and lose clarity. Pause and act with precision. Strategists win because they don't rush. Practical drills to train strategic movement. Micropauses before responding to messages, emails, or verbal triggers. Scenario visualization. Imagine potential reactions and outcomes before acting. Controlled exposure. Place yourself in minor provocations intentionally and practice responding strategically. Reflection. After every significant interaction, review your reactions. Did you move like a strategist? Did emotion dictate your choice? Adjust and repeat. Consistency is key. Repeated strategic behavior rewires instinct. You stop being reactive. You start being decisive. You start being unstoppable. Strategists win because they don't rush. The cost of emotional slavery. Reacting impulsively is addictive. The surge feels satisfying. It feels like victory. But it is a trap. You burn bridges. You lose credibility. You squander influence. You reinforce the idea that others can control your behavior. Every impulsive move is a gift to your opposition. Every paused, calculated move is a weapon in your hands. You have a choice. Move fast and regret later. Move slow, deliberate, and dominate. Strategists win because they don't rush. Repeated principle. Strategic dominance. Let's lock this into your mind. Pause before action. Analyze the situation. Choose deliberately. Reactivity is weakness. Strategic movement is power. Strategists win because they don't rush. It's not about hesitation. It's about control. It's not about indecision. It's about timing. It's not about fear. It's about authority. Repeat. Strategists win because they don't rush. Transformational effect. Once you internalize this system, every interaction becomes an opportunity for advantage. You become unshakable in pressure. Others begin to underestimate their ability to provoke you. You gain influence without raising your voice. Decisions improved dramatically. Your discipline becomes your power. Your calm becomes your weapon. Your strategic movement becomes a habit. You have a choice. React and lose control. Pause, analyze, and choose, and gain control.
Here's the reality. Most people react before they think. Most people speak before clarity arrives. Most people move before strategy forms. They are slaves to impulse, slaves to emotion, slaves to circumstance. You are not like that. You will not be like that. You will train the pause until it becomes your identity. Say it aloud. Train it until it trains you. Repeat it. Let it sink deep. Let it define how you show up in the world. You have a choice. React now and regret later. Pause, breathe, and reclaim control. Train it until it trains you. The power of the pause. The pause is not hesitation. It is not weakness. It is not indecision. The pause is power. It stops the automatic, mindless reaction. It gives the prefrontal cortex time to take over. It creates psychological authority in every interaction. Every moment you pause is a moment of control. Every microsecond you hold back is a step toward mastery. You don't need their permission to pause. You don't need approval to stay silent. You don't need anyone to validate your timing. This is your discipline. This is your weapon. This is your identity. How to train the pause? You don't stumble into mastery. You don't wake up one day calm, collected, and decisive. You train, you practice, you repeat until it becomes instinct. Step 1. Drills. Count 3 seconds before responding to messages, calls, or comments. Take a deep breath before answering questions or giving opinions. Use deliberate micro-pauses in conversations. Repeat, you have a choice. You can respond or you can pause. Step 2. Repetition. Do it daily. Do it relentlessly. Let every small interaction become a practice arena. Every pause reinforces the neural pathway for calm, control, and clarity. Step 3. Environment control. Reduce triggers that tempt impulsive reactions. Choose surroundings that encourage reflection. Surround yourself with people who respect control over chaos. Your environment trains you as much as your drills. Train it until it trains you. Let every pause become automatic.
Let every pause reinforce your discipline. Let every pause tell the world you are not easily shaken. Real-world examples. 1. The office trigger. Your colleague criticizes you. Instant reaction is the trap: sarcasm, defensiveness, or snapping back. The trained pause intervenes. You breathe, you assess, you respond deliberately. Result: authority is reinforced, relationships are preserved, and your reputation grows. 2. The text that provokes. A message appears. It sparks irritation. Impulse says, reply now. Pause, breathe, count. Respond strategically or don't respond at all. Result: clarity, not chaos. Control, not reaction. 3. High-stakes decisions. A sudden opportunity arises. Fear whispers, act too quickly. Ego says, prove yourself immediately. The pause allows data collection, observation, strategic alignment. The result: a decision made from power, not panic. Train it until it trains you. Your pause becomes identity. Your identity becomes unshakable. Reinforcing the habit. 1. Repeat to rewire. Your brain loves shortcuts. If you react automatically, reaction becomes default. If you pause automatically, clarity becomes default. Repetition is your tool. Train it until it trains you. 2. Self-observation. After every interaction, ask, did I pause? Did I act from strategy or from emotion? Did I maintain my authority or hand it away? Awareness reinforces the habit. Habits become identity. Identity becomes power. 3. Internal mantras. Use phrases like, I pause, I control, I choose. Slow is strength. Silence is authority. Train it until it trains you. Say it in your mind, aloud whenever impulses rise. This repetition strengthens both mental and emotional muscles. Psychology behind the pause. Why does this work? The human brain reacts first and thinks later. Impulses hijack reasoning. Emotion overrides logic. Consequences become chaos. The pause interrupts this cycle. It creates a micro-gap between stimulus and response. In that gap, choice exists. In that gap, control exists. In that gap, identity is forged. You have a choice: act as a slave to instinct, or act as a master of your mind. Train it until it trains you. The cost of not pausing: missed opportunities, damaged relationships, regretful decisions, loss of influence and authority. Every untrained reaction reinforces weakness. Every impulsive word strengthens chaos. The world rewards the disciplined. The world respects the controlled. The world fears the unshakable. You don't need permission to be disciplined. You don't need validation to stay silent. You don't need anyone to validate your timing. This is your discipline. This is your weapon. This is your identity. Transformation through the pause. Once the pause becomes a habit, you respond with clarity. You act with intention. You create influence without force. You become a strategist, not a reactor. You embody authority and control. The pause is no longer a tool. It becomes a reflex. It becomes your identity. It becomes the marker that separates you from the reactive crowd. You have a choice: react and live at the mercy of circumstance. Pause, train, embody, and live in command of every outcome.
Here's the unvarnished truth. Your life up to now has been a chain of reactions. You reacted when insulted. You reacted when pressured. You reacted when stressed. Every reaction cost you power. Every reaction cost you clarity. Every reaction costs you opportunities you will never get back. You are done with that. You are done being a reaction machine. You are done giving away control. Your new life begins with a 3-second delay. Say it aloud. 3 seconds. That's your new life. Repeat it. Let it settle in your bones. Let it define the way you move, speak, and act from this moment forward. You have a choice. React impulsively and live in chaos. Pause for 3 seconds and live in control. 3 seconds. That's your new life. Why 3 seconds changes everything. 3 seconds is deceptively simple. It seems insignificant, but it is monumental. In 3 seconds, your mind can override emotional hijacks. In 3 seconds, fear loses its grip. In 3 seconds, clarity can arrive and strategy can be applied. Your enemy is speed. Speed is instinct. Speed is panic disguised as action. The pause is power. The pause is authority. The pause is the seed of a new identity. You don't need their permission to pause. You don't need anyone to validate your delay. You don't need approval to act deliberately. This is your discipline. This is your dominance. This is your life. From reactive to strategic. Most people operate at reaction speed. You text back instantly, no thought. You defend your ego immediately, no reflection. You say yes or no to every request, no assessment. This is chaos masquerading as productivity. This is weakness dressed up as urgency. Your transformation follows this path. Reactive to responsive. You pause. You acknowledge the impulse. You breathe. You don't act on instinct alone. You have a choice. Responsive to strategic. 3 seconds allows you to analyze. 3 seconds lets you consider the consequences. 3 seconds gives you clarity before action. That's the key. Strategic to dominant. People start noticing. People start respecting. People start fearing your composure. 3 seconds. That's your new life. Every pause rewires your brain. Every pause rewrites your story. Every pause reshapes the way the world experiences you. Practical methods to train the 3-second delay. 1. Micro-counting. Count silently 1, 2, 3 before speaking. Use this before replying to text messages, emails, or confrontations. Every count reinforces control, calm, and authority. 2. Breathing technique. Inhale deeply. Hold for a moment. Exhale slowly. This 3-second rhythm centers your mind and signals your body to pause, not panic. 3. Environmental conditioning. Place reminders in your space, sticky notes, alarms, cues. Train yourself to pause even under pressure. Let your surroundings reinforce discipline. 4. Practice scenarios. Role-play difficult conversations. Force yourself to pause. Notice how power shifts when you speak last, not first. Repeat. 3 seconds. That's your new life. The psychology of the delay. Why does a small 3-second pause work so profoundly? Your mind is hijacked by emotion when untrained.
Anger triggers reactive speech. Fear triggers rushed decisions. Pride triggers unnecessary confrontation. 3 seconds interrupts this hijack. 3 seconds creates a gap between stimulus and response. In this gap, choice emerges. In this gap, power is reclaimed. In this gap, identity transforms. You have a choice. Live as a slave to the moment, or live as a master of every moment. Real-world examples. 1. Workplace dominance. Your boss criticizes your report in front of the team. Immediate reaction, defensiveness, argument, embarrassment. 3-second delay, pause. Take a breath. Respond with calm authority. Result, respect earned, tension dissolved, your presence elevated. 2. Relationship conflict. Partner snaps in frustration. Immediate reaction, snap back. Escalate, ruin the night. 3-second delay, pause, observe. Respond with reason, not rage. Result, conflict diffused, communication strengthened, emotional authority maintained. 3. Social influence. A debate turns personal. Immediate reaction, defensive, weak, predictable. 3-second delay, pause, reframe, speak with intention. Result, influence solidified, unpredictability maintained, dominance felt. Train it until it trains you. Every pause becomes a habit. Every habit becomes identity. Every identity becomes unstoppable. Reinforcing your new identity. 1. Internal mantras. I pause, I control, I dominate. 3 seconds. That's my new life. I act from clarity, not chaos. 2. Self-reflection. After every interaction, review. Did I pause? Did I choose response over reaction? Did I maintain dominance through discipline? 3. Daily drills. Apply the 3-second rule in texts, calls, meetings, and conversations. Start small. Increase stakes gradually. Make the pause automatic, unshakable, instinctual. 3 seconds. That's your new life. Let it be your identity, not just your tactic. Let it define how you move through challenges, confrontations, and opportunities. The cost of ignoring the delay. Failing to pause leads to impulsive mistakes, leads to damaged trust, leads to lost opportunities. Every instant reaction erodes authority. Every rushed word reinforces weakness. Every untrained impulse cements chaos. You have a choice. Step into control, pause deliberately, and reclaim power. 3 seconds. That's your new life. Transformation through the 3-second delay. When the pause becomes your habit, you think before you speak. You act with precision. You gain respect effortlessly. You cultivate authority silently. You embody a presence others can neither manipulate nor rush. The 3-second delay is no longer a tactic. It becomes your identity. It becomes your instinct. It becomes your power.
Remember this, your power was never in the reaction. It was always in the pause before it. The pause that protects your tongue, the pause that shields your reputation, the pause that turns chaos into clarity, impulse into intention,
an emotion into strategy. You no longer speak fast. You no longer act fast. You no longer hand people your power. From this moment forward, you pause. You observe. You choose. You move with authority, not urgency. You live by the 3-second rule that rewires your identity. Slow first, strong next, unbeatable always. Now, here is your challenge. For the next 24 hours, do not respond instantly to anything or anyone. Not a message, not a trigger, not an emotion. Train the pause that wins, and watch how quickly the world begins to respond to the new, unprovocable you.